Hello again, and welcome to another one of my Adam's Corner videos where I give you a peek at the actual discs that I receive. I do a monthly roundup on my podcast, and this is just like a supplement to that, in case you're not familiar with what I do. And so I've gotten several new releases in the mail, a couple of which, I would say at least two of these are films that were sadly neglected on the high definition format, and that has now been rectified. Two films that I really like, and I was really glad to get them on in higher definition. But we'll start with let's see here, a couple of Kino releases, Kino Lorber Studio Classics. Starting with Fatal Vision. Now, Fatal Vision was a television film that's about the case of Dr. Jeffrey McDonald. He was a Green Beret doctor who was accused. He was a captain, actually, and he was accused of murdering his wife and two children. And there's been a lot of controversy over the years as to whether he really did it or not. The author of the book on which this film was based, that's Joe McGinnis. He actually went into the writing project thinking that he probably was innocent, and then by the time he finished the book, he had completely changed his mind. This is a dramatization of that story, and if you're not familiar with it, it's certainly worth seeing it. It originally, I believe, debuted in the fall of 1984. I remember seeing this when it aired on NBC television. It was a two-night event. The film itself is actually 3 hours and 6 minutes without the commercials, but it was 4 hours on NBC television when I saw it back in September or October. I want to say it was September of 1984, but I could be wrong about that. I don't have that information right in front of me. At any rate, it's a solid film directed by David Green. And Eva Marie Saint and Carl Malden play the in-laws of Dr. Jeffrey McDonald, who are really determined to make sure that he's brought to justice. And Barry Newman, the great actor Barry Newman, is in this. Gary Cole plays Jeffrey McDonald. Of course, he's an excellent character actor that we've gotten to know better over the years. And Andy Griffith plays the prosecuting attorney. But this is a solid transfer with a new commentary by Daniel Creamer. And it just really looks good. It's almost flawless for a TV film, presented in the 1.33 to 1 aspect ratio. Would have been nice to have this in a widescreen ratio to fill out the frame, but, that's the way things were done on television back then. So Fatal Vision, highly recommended if you're a fan of this film. It's great to have it on the Blu-ray format. Previously only available on VHS, never released on DVD. Moving along to Ladykillers from 1955. This is, like I said, it's a Kino Lorber release. This was remade by the Coen brothers with Tom Hanks in, I think, like 2004 or something. It's okay, the Coen brothers version, but the original version is much better. It's basically about a man who claims to be a musician, and he's rents a room from this old lady with and basically his excuse is, he wants to. They're a group of musicians, and they'll be practicing, and they need a place to practice. But essentially, they're planning a robbery, is what it amounts to. Alec Guinness, Cecil Parker, Herbert Lom, Peter Sellers, Danny Green in this. This is a new Dolby Vision master by Studio Canal from a 4K scan of the original negative. It's in 4K, as you can see. You get audio commentary by David Del Val and another audio commentary by Philip Kemp. And Forever Ealing, which is a documentary on the studio that put it out, and Cleaning Up the Ladykillers featurettes. Interviews with Alan Scott, Ronald Harwood, Terrence Davies. Really good-looking transfer, almost impeccable. High bit rates on this, around the 80 to 90 megabytes per second. If you're a fan of Ladykillers, and let's go ahead and take it out of the O-ring and the slipcase and let you see what this looks like. Yeah, there you go, and you get a Blu-ray with the some of these extras on it. So, anyway, that is the those are the two Kino Lorber Studio releases that I have. Now, moving along to two of the films that I alluded to, two films that were sadly neglected in a high-definition format and certainly needed to be upgraded, and they have been. One of these is Big Fan, starring Patton Oswalt and Kevin Corrigan, Michael Rappaport. This is a really, really good film written and directed by Robert Siegel. Robert Siegel was the writer of The Wrestler from 2008, and this was the very next year, 2009. He was able to make his directorial debut with this film. Only available on DVD up until now. Basically, Patton Oswalt is a sports fan who's just really obsessed with sports and all of that, and he lives with his mom and works as a parking lot attendant. At the time this film was made, that wasn't as common as it is now, but unfortunately that situation is not getting any better with a lot of the younger generation, but that's another story. He lives for the game days, and essentially he has a run-in with one of his favorite sports figures that turns dark, let's put it that way. He has a run-in with him in I believe it's in a bar, and it goes wrong. So sometimes it's best not to meet your idols, as they say, and especially in his case. Anyway, this is a really good movie. No extras on this, but it's certainly good to have it in the Blu-ray format. So Big Fan. I'll go ahead and open that up for you. There you go. And the next one is a film that has been in... it was released one time, and that was in 1998, or maybe it was, I believe it was 1999, actually, when it originally came out. Trimark was the distributor, and that's a long defunct label, I would say, and then it was reissued by Lionsgate. I'm talking about Happiness, but unfortunately this was never released in its proper aspect ratio, or anamorphic ratio, I guess you would say. It was widescreen, but it was the old widescreen that was, had the black bars on the sides of the screen. Anyway, if you follow this stuff, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, Happiness was a very, it was a film that divided audiences when it came out. It was, Welcome to the Dollhouse was Todd Solondz's breakthrough film, and, that was about the pains of high school. And it was a awards darling, I guess you would say. And I responded strongly to it when I saw it I guess it was the summer of '96. So I was really excited to see what he would do next. And I had no idea how dark he would go with his next film. This film, though, I must say, is on my wavelength. And everything that Todd Solondz has done since then has continued to be on my wavelength. He's a filmmaker whose work I deeply admire, and I just wish we'd get a new film from him. It's been 8 years since the last one, and I know it's harder and harder to get financing for the type of things he does, but anyway, Happiness has now been issued in the 4K format by Criterion, and it's basically, it has an ensemble cast. You've got Philip Seymour Hoffman, Jane Addams, Lara Flynn Boyle, Ben Gazzara, Dylan Baker, and it's a bunch of loosely connected characters. Some of them related by they're related by blood, and others not. There's a dad who's a pedophile. There's a lonely woman with a real dark secret. There's deviants, depressives, misfits. That's how it's labeled on the back of this. That's the best way to put this. This is it's not for everybody. Let's say that, but it's just such an uncompromising portrait of the underbelly of suburbia, I guess you would say, especially in the case of with these characters all in New Jersey setting. But yes, either you get on the Todd Solondz wavelength or you don't, and I have always appreciated what he does. So it's great to get this film in the 4K format. You get the Blu-ray and a 4K disc with the extras on the Blu-ray disc there, and this booklet is it's an essay booklet by the great Bruce Wagner, one of the great novelists and screenwriters. And you get a couple of extras here. You get a new conversation between director Todd Solondz. He doesn't do a lot of interviews, so that's nice. with filmmaker Charlotte Wells, and a new interview with the actor Dylan Baker, who plays the tortured man with the pedophilic urges. He should have, in another life, in another world, or another universe, I guess you would say, he may have gotten an Oscar nomination, but that character was so sharply divided audiences that this wasn't going to happen. So anyway, this was a film that was originally going to be released by Universal, and they threw it away. They decided that it was just too controversial, and at the 11th hour decided not to release it. So Good Machine was the company that eventually released it, and I think the rights have reverted now back to Universal Pictures. So it's good that Happiness is finally, even though it's a controversial film, it's good that it's finally getting its day in the sun on the 4K format after being in such a terrible transfer for so long. So we've got a couple of releases here from 88 Films. We've got these are all from the Shaw Brothers Studios. We have To Kill a Mastermind, and this is it's produced, as I said, produced by Shaw Brothers, and it has the typical types of stunts and that you would expect in this sort of thing. It's and I meant to say earlier, by the way, sorry. Happiness, the bit rate on this is spectacularly high. I guess you would say 90 to 100. It's great. The picture is flawless, and the audio is 2.0, but very good. So, sorry. And back to what we were just now talking about. To Kill a Mastermind. Kung Fu masters are terrorizing the land, and there's a spy in the ranks trying to stop this terrorizing from going on. But it's this film was released in 1979, but just wanted to make sure that people knew that this was out. It's a new, like I said, a Shaw Brothers film, and a lot of their stuff is kind of fallen under the radar. And 88 Films is rescuing it. Thankfully, we'll also open this up to take this out of the ring and let you see what's in there, and you get a little postcard, some postcards there. So, or collectible cards, whatever you can call it. So, anyway, To Kill a Mastermind, another film from the 88 Films from the Shaw Brothers Studio is the Golden Lotus, and this is it's actually a romance, an epic tale of a passionate, sometimes destructive love affair between a rich man and a poor woman. A potent story of lust and power, it's labeled as. 1974 was release date. There are no new extras on either of these releases, just the remastering. But there you go. And we'll get that out. And so, yeah, it's just great to have these Shaw Brothers releases from Hong Kong's legendary studio. And then the last one would be The Shadow Boxing. This is, and this one is from 1979 as well. And I take that back. I don't think this one is actually from the Shaw Brothers. This is another studio that released this one. But yeah, it's following a pair of very special undertakers who transport dead bodies by magical means. So I didn't get a chance to watch this all the way through, but I did get a chance to check the quality on all three of these, and really solid transfers. Bit rates in the 60, 70, somewhere in that range on all of these. But yes, if you're a fan of these types of films, it's going to be something you want to consider picking up. And there's more collectible cards there. So anyway, that's it for this week's release roundup, and I just wanted to mention a couple of things that I had received and a couple of those I got really excited about, and it's always a good thing. So anyway, until the next time, keep those discs spinning.